Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Dominic, and I am going to moderate today's discussion about the case for a flexible enrollment solution with the Vice President of Health Strategy and Solutions here at Alight Solutions, Karen Frost. Karen, how are you doing today?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. This is going to be fun, Dom. Looking forward to chatting with you and hearing from our audience.
Yeah, I am too. So I know that we're going to have people, filing in throughout this discussion today, but we do want to stay on schedule. So today's discussion is going to be about the case for a flexible enrollment solution and a broader benefits offering. And Karen is one of our health leaders here at Alight Solutions. And so we are super excited to talk about recent data that we've uncovered from our previous enrollment, as well as other things that are going on in the industry as a whole. So starting off, Karen, at a very high level, what happened last year in terms of healthcare coverage and the employer and employee response?
Well, so it's really interesting. You almost might call it a little bit of a tale of two cities. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the first half of the year, and this is what a lot of you heard in the press, there was a significant drop in healthcare used by individuals. And some of that was the kind of stuff that you would expect. So, if you had an elective surgery, people chose not to have those. And those were the kinds of things that I'd call deferred, because you're going to have it. It just wasn't in the time frame in that first year that you otherwise. Others, things you could shift to different places. So you heard a lot about the increase in telemedicine. Well, a lot of people were able to get those questions that they would either go to the doctor for, or maybe even urgent care. They were able to get those things through telemedicine. Then there were other things that just sort of fell off the radar altogether. I know I had an annual checkup. I didn't make it last year. And I think there are lots of people that felt the same way. And so, that's one element of, you saw a massive dip in healthcare utilization. And then I know some of us had a little bit of a bet internally of how fast it would rebound. And by Q3, we saw a full rebound of healthcare in terms of utilization and healthcare spending. And, people had to have those services, and so they went ahead and have them. But keep that in terms of a backdrop of people are economically struggling in all of this, and so with all of that, they continue to struggle to pay for care. And so we saw a lot of people spending down their spending account or their health savings account in order to pay for care when they needed it. And the same was true with dependent care spending account. I know some of you are parents on the phone, and you're probably thinking, oh, I used to use an after school program that may have been suspended, or a daycare center that was closed for a while. So we did see a reduction in that kind of saving for childcare as well. And then as think about it through employers, employers in certain industries had significant revenue drops as well. And so, so they were looking for ways to improve flexibility, but also at a cost neutral kind of place, so they could support their people, but also add flexibility where they could.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that flexibility thing is really, you said it. I mean, this is a tale of two cities. So I think that's that flexibility aspect that is really that thing we need to hone in on. And so I guess as a follow-up question to you, based on everything you've seen, you've heard, and you've witnessed firsthand, what would you say are your three biggest takeaways from this past year's enrollment data from Alight?
Yeah, so some of this is interesting trends that we've been seeing for a while, but it really exacerbated this year. So the number one thing that I would tell you, and I'm sure this doesn't surprise anyone, people are looking for guidance. And it's everything from, hearing words like, you're the expert, tell me what to do, to give me a place to start. And, where they're grounding that expectation in is all the great digital experiences that they use every single day. When I was commuting to work every day, I had a navigation app that gave me turn-by-turn instructions. And that's how I got to work every day. Not that I didn't know how to get there, but it also saved me a heck of a lot of time. So I listened to it. And those kinds of experiences are setting the tone for what people expect in an enrollment. So they want guidance, and then they also want suggestions that they use as an anchor for how to make decisions. So it's always good to have a starting point. and then they want to explore and see what they what the recommendation might be based on their own research. So that's one thing, guidance and suggestions. The second thing we're seeing is, although a lot of us really love digital experiences and we're able to do self-service, there's a point where many of us hit, I need an expert. I have detailed questions, or I need someone to just guide me through this with expert information. And so they are looking for that point where they can stop the digital experience and pick up the phone and get to the right expert to get insights very quickly when they need it. And they're the ones that want to define when they need it. So that's an important theme as well. And then last, for those of you who've heard me speak before, you'll hear this common theme from me. Your enrollment strategy needs to match your benefit strategy every single year.
Absolutely.
There's like what they call evergreen enrollments. And that evergreen enrollment basically says, if you like what you had, keep it. Well, this year, more than anything, economic conditions changed. We really needed people to do a checkup for themselves. So, this year and every year, as you're thinking about your benefit strategy, make sure that your enrollment strategy matches it to get the results that you're looking for.
Definitely. So I guess then, also from your point of view, have you talked with employers who are making changes in 2020, either to their enrollment experience or maybe just like logistically how they're executing enrollment? Because I think what I'm curious about is Alight fielding requests about plan design changes, about communications campaigns, kind of like what is the actual action that's going on there?
Yeah, well, you would think with all of the changes in the workforce and what everybody is sort of overusing the new normal, you think that a lot of it would be plan design changes. But for those of you in the benefits business, the spring is when most employers are stopping, taking a look at what worked last year, what kind of objectives might they have from the business in terms of benefits, cost savings, et cetera. And that hit at the pandemic hit just at the point in the plan year where an employer would be looking at their plan and making changes and a strategy for the following year. So the result ended up being we saw very, very few plan design changes this year from our clients.
Okay.
And what we're hearing from them is that we should expect much more in 2022 plan years. In terms of plan changes. But what they did do instead of plan design changes was a lot of communicating. And so this was the time where people had new work schedules or work sites. They had COVID leave or extra support employers were providing. And so lots of communicating and lots of individual outreach to help people and support their overall well-being.
Absolutely. So then, obviously we've talked a lot about what's going on outside in the world, but what I'm curious to know is in your opinion, what are the two biggest external factors that are weighing in on participants now as a result of the pandemic that, as employers are thinking about their benefits offerings, they should be aware of?
Yeah, I can't go and talk to a client without hearing them say, mental health is my number one concern, right? There's so much stress due to the pandemic that they're very concerned about employee well-being as it relates to, you name it, every aspect of well-being. Their emotional well-being and financial. And so as employers are really focused on what can they do to take their existing mental health programs and make sure employees are aware of them and take advantage. And what was a really interesting parallel was we just completed what we call our well-being mindset study. And we asked employees what was their priority. And 80% of them said that they would take advantage of an employer-sponsored stress management or mental health program. And that's an almost doubling over what we typically see.
Wow.
Right. So employees see that need themselves, and employers are looking for different ways to meet those needs. I have to just highlight one program that's like the underutilized king of benefits, which is the Employee Assistance Program. And this is a great time to encourage your people to take advantage of that. where they otherwise might not even realize it's there, and it can be a great resource for people. And then the other factor that's weighing on, I would say, both employers and employees, is just adapting to the new workplace or the new work setting. You and I are remote, but others are, donning PPE in the work environment where they might never have had to do that in the past. And they're also dealing with their employees having financial challenges associated maybe with reduced work hours or paying for additional childcare because their students are not able to be in the classroom, that sort of thing. And so I think those are really important factors that we're seeing employers and their employees really struggle with. And I think we're going to see additional programs or additional support that employers will provide to help hit those both factors.
Yeah. No, and so you mentioned support, and I think that's really what I want to move on to next. As we think about how employers can support what these external factors are really doing to their employee population, what types of changes do you think could be made moving forward?
Let's start with the basics. So the first thing I'd encourage every employer on this call to do is just take some time to understand your population. And what you thought you knew, what are we at? Almost a year ago now, since March is when we all went to our new work setting.
Yep.
What you knew then is probably not what you know now. So, making sure that what you thought was important in the past is still important to employees. And I'd encourage you to just dust off all those techniques that have worked for you in the past in terms of understanding your population. It might be surveys, it might be focus groups, it might be sessions with your frontline managers who know these folks really well. Do what you can to understand what's top of mind for your people, and that'll help you identify those gaps. So that's probably, it seems really simple, but it's one of those things that's really important to remember. We were hearing earlier in the year from our clients about working parents and what could they do to support working parents. And as we dug in, we realized they didn't even know who in their population were working parents.
Wow.
You'd think that would be basic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And so, even at Alight, we have we pulled together a solution that even just helps employers figure that out so that they know how to meet the needs of those groups. If I go on to coverage, the number one thing I've been hearing from employers really over the past several years, and it's accelerated this year, is just affordability. Right?
Yeah. Hands down.
Cost of the coverage is going up, but then those deductibles are big. And so what we hear from employers and employees alike is employees look at that deductible as a barrier to getting health coverage, not just coverage, but actual services. And so they're not going to the doctor because they don't feel like they can afford that office visit or whatever that level of care that they need. And so I'm seeing more and more employers start to think beyond the high deductible plan and think about things like, are there regional choices for health insurance that I could offer my people that are more cost effective? Can I do things with narrower networks that focus on doctors that lower cost? And then there are some innovative plan designs out there that I see employers really trying to evaluate to see if they could be a fit. And the theme is, how do I make that deductible go away so that people will get the care that they need when they need it? And then last but not least, what I would say is I watch employers, and you all have been doing a great job of this over the years. You add programs to meet specific needs. Mm-hmm. And, take advantage of what you already have. My unsung hero a minute ago of the EAP, but I'm sure there are other programs out there that you offer to your employees, and raising awareness and helping people understand that they're there when they need them. It could be as simple as, a simple outreach via email, but the more you can analyze your population and target particular outreach based on demographics or plan enrollment or past interactions. Some of you may even have AI capabilities within your organization or your administrator like us. that's going to make it even more impactful for individuals as they think about using various benefit programs.
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that last point up, because I think even as an employee of Alight, I rely on our intranet sometimes to talk about things like our EAP that are really beneficial right now. So you can't underscore the fact that there's a lot of things that you may have within your organization already to utilize.
Oh, absolutely. And it's at that moment that matters, that's when you want to learn about it and you want to take advantage of it, right?
Completely. So, I know everyone obviously came to listen to you and I talk for, this 20, 30 minutes, but a lot of people came here because we want to talk about flexibility. And so moving on, why do you believe flexibility is important for plan sponsors with their enrollment solution and their broader benefits offerings?
Well, 2020 was certainly a unique year that presented more challenges than I think any of us could have possibly expected for both employers and their people. And although many of those challenges were new, I would just continue to rely on the fact that those challenges just exacerbated the needs of a diverse workforce that most of our clients, and I suspect, again, many of you on this line, are struggling with, multiple generations, workforce that has, different cultural makeup, wide range of work styles and needs across all of that population. And so, that is a key thing that employers have been struggling with. And in the past, where they might have ad programs, the low utilization we see from many of them has made it harder to add additional things. So we see I think it's really imperative that employers focus on getting the most out of what they have, and maybe even evaluating some and replacing them if they're not really finding the value in them. And then if I talk about flexibility for just a second, I continue to believe firmly that flexibility just gives an employer a low or no cost way to meet the objectives of that diverse workforce. And so, highlight the programs that are most relevant to particular individuals, help them meet their individual and family needs, and more importantly, get them to engage. And so, just because, like, I have some clients that I work with where we've mapped out that they have 30 or 40 different programs. It's hard to know what's out there exactly, or when to use them. So think about the power of, again, many of us are online shoppers at this point, and we rely on that online shopping favorite website to prompt us for different purchasing patterns, maybe how to bundle things together. Think of how powerful that is in your benefit program, where it prompts me with things that are important to me, or Dom, things that are important to you. I can take advantage of those programs. It's super flexible for the individual, and that flexibility at the same time helps me maximize the program itself. So I just think flexibility is absolutely key.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. I love that analogy too, because I think we oftentimes forget that the technology in our workplace needs to mirror that of our personal lives. We're so used to this experience in our personal lives that, why should you expect anything different when you're at work?
Oh, absolutely. And, it's a great, that just prompted a great example. So we have a client that has really, we've helped them do a ton of analysis on their data and their programs. And we use AI to assess each person and what programs might be relevant to them. And we've spent about the past year figuring out how to engage them pretty much on a weekly basis with additional content, programs, suggestions, et cetera. And that client at the end of the year found that the employee perception of their benefits program increased 10 points.
Wow.
Not 10 points.
Wow.
Right. And that they had been trying to do that for about the prior 5 years with every other technique, whether it was total rewards, other kinds of outreach. So that personal touch can really make an enormous difference for employers and their people.
Definitely. Okay. So before we close out, I want to ask you, so at a macro level, if you were a plan sponsor and you were to call out, let's just say, like, the top 3 must-haves for a flexible solution, what would those things be?
Well, so I'm going to try to keep it really simple. So think of it in terms of before, during, and after enrollment. So before, as I've said a little bit before, evaluate your current programs, your employee and your business needs, and then use all those inputs to set your benefit strategy. And when you do that, build as much flexibility in as you can. Mm-hmm. So then switch to sort of during, which would be enrollment itself, and match your benefits and enrollment strategies, and that'll help you maximize the results you're going to get. And you want to make sure that you're providing the right guidance and tools and experts to get people in the right plans. And the cautionary note I would give you, and people like me don't always say this, is don't overload your enrollment either. So people only have so much attention span, so focus them on the things that are critically important to you and to them. And there might be plans that are really important, but maybe you want to highlight those at a different point during the year, because you can really get their attention then versus having 30 different things they have to look at during enrollment. And then last, that goes back with it is, after enrollment and ongoing throughout the year, just communicate. That'll help people engage. They'll know what's most advantageous to them and their situation, and do that by leveraging their data and the data about their interactions as much as you can, because that's really how they're going to engage and you're going to get them to take action.
Awesome. Well, that is all the time we have. Karen, I'm really glad we got to chat about this. I always love chatting with you. And if you're watching today and you want to learn more about Alight, you can go to our website, www.alight.com. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. Check us out. If you have questions, concerns, or you want to learn more about how our solutions can help your organization unlock next level transformation, we'd love to chat with you. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.